So where we got the love for fresh coffee for the first time, and where this whole idea started of roasting our own coffee, our own business, a roastery, was in 2016. We visited a coffee roastery in Johannesburg somewhere. Randburg. And the lady that was there made us a pea berry coffee. It was an African coffee, and she made us a plunger, and it was amazing. And it was like love at first sight. Something about visiting the roastery planted a seed in us, in myself, for experimenting and roasting our own coffee. And we started roasting coffee on the stove with a pan.
Okay, dit is net 'n klein videoetjie om te wys hoe ons 'n rou koffieboon gevat het. Groen boon, regtig nie baie goeie kwaliteit boon nie, maar ons het al die mooies uitgepiek. Soos daai groenetjie, ek het hulle handpick. En toe na die handpicking, toe het ek hulle geroost op die oond, sommer net om te try om hulle te roost. En toe gebruik ek Rosel, kom gaan na die kant toe. My 1940 grindertjie, ons dink, né? Met 'n Bobby handspanner om te draai, want ons nie handle nie. En kom ons op met voilà! Ons eerste batch koffie.
Ek weet nou nie of dit medium of dark roast is nie, maar ek dink dit lyk medium roast.
Dit lyk flippend baie nice. Ons gaan hom nou gou draai, ingooi en proe.
I was working as a technical trainer in the artisan field as a earth moving mechanic, and I had a lot of free time on my hands. And I started experimenting and building DIY home roaster coffee roasters. And we started off with modifying a popcorn maker to roast some coffee, but of course a popcorn maker only has the capacity of roasting about, I would say, 30 to about 70 grams of coffee, which was great to drink coffee, but running a business off a popcorn machine is ridiculous.
Okay, hierso is die eerste prototype vir die koffie rooster. Daar is ons container, daar is ons stofsuiger, ons vacuum cleaner sommer gebruik. Hierdie is soos in my housing. Daarso is die lugpyp, van die lugpyp af. Ek het sommer 'n trimtek. Okay, hierdie is prototype 2. Okay, hierdie is die derde fase. Dit is probe nommer 4. Die gat ons. Kyk die temperatuur daar, gaan net gou die ding aansit. Fase 4 rooster. Die rooster is nog nie 100% klaar nie, maar ons het definitief 'n elektroniese device gekry om die temperatuur te reguleer.
So I was thinking about using a bread baking machine. We took a bread baking machine, stripped the bread baking machine, we added some parts, some temperature controllers, and we started playing around with roasting coffee in a bread baking machine, which had the capacity of roasting about 200 to 300 grams of coffee at the time, which worked quite well.
Okay, hierdie is homeowners coffee roasting. Ons het net 'n koekbakker gevat, double barrel koekbakker. En as jy net hier kan kyk, daar sy as jy hom oopmaak, haak jy die koffie daar binne sien. Daar sy, hierdie is my heat sensor wat binnekant is, daar tel hy op. Okay, as ek hom oopmaak, het ek 'n ou broodbakker gevat, daar is 'n on switch. Het hy 'n ding op binne wat hy draai, so hy draai die bone. Hierso is my relay, op die relay is my thermocoupler. Daar kan jy sien is 103 degrees, daar is hy besig om te klim binnekant daai ding. As ek hom aansit, en daar is hy, kom toemaak, daar is my coffee roaster.
And then we took it a step further and we thought, let's start a business. And we were looking for a name, and we were Googling, and we were thinking of all kinds of coffee names. And then we came up with the name Scuro, which means dark or black in Latin. And my name, Dwayne, in Irish means dark or black or shadowy. And so we said, okay, let's take the name dark or black and let's look for the name, the word in Italian or Latin, and it was Scuro.
It was challenging at first. There was a lot of uncertainty. I've never really thought of business myself or being with someone in business. And yeah, so it was quite a new thing for me, but yet also exciting. Yeah, it was cool to see how Dwayne is making something out of nothing.
Hier is die rooster, 2016. Daar's 250 grade wat hy besig is om te roast op. As jy hier kyk, gaan hom gou oopmaak. Ja, daai foon van jou wys nogal mooi. Ek het dalk hier gou vinnig op binne in kyk. Daar is ons besig om te roast. Sien julle daar? 100%. And thank you folks for visiting our talk show on Zell and Dwayne Furita.
So after the bread baking machine episode, it worked really well, but it was really giving an inconsistency in the roasting process, which we found and which we learned in our growth into where we were going. And so the bread baking machine started melting because we overused it, and then we used some of the components of the bread baking machine, and we said let's build a metal bread baking machine. And that went well. We built a metal type of coffee roaster. We used some parts out of a Nissan 1400 bakkie. We used the cam and the crank pulleys. We used a motor that we found somewhere. I think someone gave it to us. I think it comes out of a washing machine. And we put all these parts together, and it was roasting really well. And that's when we started with our packaging. We made a logo. We started roasting coffee, very dark, very inconsistent, and we started packaging this coffee and we sold it to work, the guys that we were working with.
And action. Dus kan ek maar praat. Middag julle, net gou vinnig vir julle wys hoe ons dinge hier doen vandag. Number 1, hier is ons nuwe sign, Scuro. Every bean has a story. Number 2, kan jy hierso kyk jouself. Hier is ons boene, al die pad van Brazilië af, is die 60 kilogram Barbosa. As jy hier naartoe gaan, dis ons weigh-in station. Daar is 250 gram bone. Van daar af kan jy hier naartoe kom, dis ons grindertjie. Jy kan dan programmeer hoe lank hy moet grind, en jy kan die coarse, medium of large daar grind. Daar het ons 'n bietjie gemodify dat hy pas. Het ons 'n masjienkie wat die sak seël. Ek het sommer 'n hair straightener gevat. So ons vat daar die sakkie, hair straightener, smelt hom, seël hy reg. Lyk dit so. Daar is hy, best before, 2 weke expiry date. Ons het nog nie ons stickers gekry van die Oos-Kaap af nie, so vir nou doen ons dit so. En daar kan julle sien, is hy mooi geseël, verpakking.
I think around about 2018, I said to Rizal, I was busy doing a lot of research in regards to a bigger coffee roaster. A coffee roaster would give much more consistency, and that around about that time we moved to the Eastern Cape. My wife was pregnant with our boy. And then we started experimenting with proper machines. We started looking in 2 kilogram coffee roasters, which I changed a little bit of the specs of the machine, and we designed it to be more or less a 5 kilo coffee roaster. I still remember spending a month at home, and we built the machine in the garage in Tsitsikamma, in the garage, busy grinding all the metal with a grinder. Nothing was laser cut. Everything was very inconsistent and skew, but we built one and it worked. That was it up to 2017, around about 2017.
Okay, hi manne. So, my tweede roast, derde een. Tweede roast, bietjie die roaster geleer ken en hom bietjie getune. Look at that. That looks like perfection. That's my third roast. That's 2 kilograms of coffee, and that is perfectly roasted to a medium to dark roast. Perfect.
In 2018, we moved to Port Elizabeth from Tsitsikamma, and we had this dream of, we said, let's do this thing. Let's not hold back. Let's give it our everything. So we had some plans drawn up. Her brother is an engineer, and he had a great drafting program, which we spent about 3 months to draw our first coffee roaster with my design and his drawing ability. Yeah, it took us about 3 months at night because both of us were working full time, and then we needed some funding, which is always the problem with a business. And so what we did was we actually took out a loan. We got a loan for a couple of $1,000 and we built our first machine off the loan. We sold our car, which we had at the time. We paid off the loan within 6 months. Back to 2018, right? Yes. We set up the coffee roastery in the garage. I was working still full-time in Port Elizabeth as a earth-moving mechanic working for a forklift firm, and we started roasting our own coffee, and we had a proper coffee roaster roasting coffee. But we also, the first 1 or 2 coffee bags that we bought, we roasted pitch black. I roasted it far into second crack, thinking that's the way to roast coffee. I thought if it pops the second time, you're good, we can dump. That's how I thought how you roast coffee. That's really, I did a lot of research, and I found a great site, which was Mill City Roasting Academy, where they teach you how to roast coffee. They teach you a lot about the different processes, and it's a very in-depth, very intensive coffee program and training. At the end of 2019, I was working full-time for a forklift company, and I always just thought that there was more to this whole business in the area of being full-time. And I was working on a tow motor at that time. I was working at Isuzu Motors, and I was busy changing a tire, and I got this brand new socket set that I bought, and I've been working with a socket set for maybe, I would say, let's say 2 or 3 weeks. And as I was changing the tire and I was looking for a spanner to take off the wheel, I took a 22 socket and I tried to fit the 22 socket and it didn't fit. So I went to the 24, and if you know of mechanics and you know spanner sizes, you use a 22 and a 24, you don't really use a 23 spanner. And so I took the 24 and the 24 spanner slipped, and I went to my toolbox, and as I picked up the 23 socket, it was clean. I just felt the Lord say to me, it's time for you to be in full-time business. And because the number 23 is the number of my birthday, and I felt the whole year of the whole month of October, November, I just had the number 23 come to mind. And it's like the 23, and it's like only you can do this. And the 23 socket is used once or twice, and it's probably in its lifetime, but it still has a specific time and a purpose and for then. And it might be only used a little bit of the time, but it's still as important as any of the other sockets. And I said to Roselle, I told my wife, I just felt this impression on my heart that we must do full-time business. I resigned. I gave them 2 months notice, which is quite long. And we started our business in 2020 full-time. So I still remember pushing in all my pension fund into the business that I got from the forklift company. And we were looking for a premises because we were busy roasting at the time in the garage, which was great. But then we had an order for a coffee roaster as well in that same year, or in that same month, or the month of January. And so we were looking for a place to house our coffee roastery, and we found a very sweet little spot in Port Elizabeth at Sherwood Garden Centre, and we started our roastery there.
We moved into Sherwood Gardens to have our coffee roastery there, and I must say, you know, before we started building all these machines or trying to attempt building them, Dwayne had a lot of research that he had to do. Like, it was almost over 2 years that he did research. So it was a long time coming, and it was exciting yet, you know, nerve-wracking to open up a roastery, not really knowing what's going to happen. I started to learn a lot about coffee, making coffee, but most of the time it was only holding on to the Lord, knowing that He's in it with us. And that was a very key part to keep reminding us constantly, you know, about what promises He gave to us. I think that was the biggest motivation of it all. Yeah, we opened the roastery 2 months before COVID hit. Yeah, that was quite. It was quite, you know, scary part of the whole journey. Not knowing where we're going, because we pushed all the money into the business, and at that time you thought all of, you know, the business will kick off from start, but it didn't, and then COVID hit, and yeah, it was quite challenging.
So yeah, we entered a competition called Shot in the Dark, And we did quite well in the first year in 2020, and that just gave us a little bit of a benchmark of where we were more or less in our coffee roasters and how we were doing, how the machine was functioning, and also our roasting ability as roasters. And which of course, we still need to grow into so much more, but it actually just helped us and gave us a little bit of confidence in where we were heading to in the near future, and which made it more of like a solid, it gave us a bit more hope that we were doing the right thing and we were on the right track. Early stages of 2021, we got an opportunity to buy into a shop in St. Francis Bay, which we, because we were hitting our ceiling in Port Elizabeth, in the place we were renting from, or we had our roastery, and we thought of venturing into St. Francis because there wasn't a roastery at the time. We got married in St. Francis. We love it here. We love it in St. Francis, and we thought let's look if we could maybe plant a roastery there. And we eventually planted our roastery in St. Francis in 2021 at the village in the Rhapsody Centre. This year, 2020, is going to be the year that we are launching and bringing in our new 300 gram sample roaster. Which would be a home roaster machine, but also you could upgrade with software and with a couple of other extras that you could use it as a sample roaster, which we could supply to our guys that are more into coffee roasting, coffee shops, and to the guys that are busy experimenting like I was when we started in 2016, which we are very excited about.
We are very excited about this new 300 gram roaster. Just because, it gives access to so many people, not just to have a coffee shop, but also when you're at home and you want to have fresh coffee, like we started, like Dwayne said. So yeah, it's very exciting. We will have a standard coffee roaster, and then there will be upgrades, like Dwayne said. And yeah, it's just so exciting, and we hope to launch in April.
The capabilities of our new machine. It has variable drum speed, it has variable fan speed on your cooling, fully Bluetooth compatible, so you'd be able to connect any Microsoft operating device to the coffee roaster via with Artisan being your software, which it's open source, so you can download it from any computer. We are really excited for the future to really be passionate about building machines, to deliver a product that is easy accessible, that has got product support, build a product that is user friendly, that is built with local parts, sourced with local things, that you don't need to import anything. We really want to be local in our thinking, but just from the beginning was our first birth of this business, and this first thought of this business was to bring fresh coffee to people. And we're going to bring fresh coffee to people via this small little machine where they could roast their own coffee and have fresh coffee, either it being a South American coffee or African coffee, whatever it might be, but you will be able to roast your own coffee at home, and to experience freshness, hopefully like we have right in the beginning of our journey.
So yeah, you can get us here in the Rhapsody Centre in St. Francis Bay. We at shop number 4. We do roasting events, we do tasting events, and also brewing events, which is very fun and interactive and very knowledgeable. We teach you a bit more about coffee and where it comes from, and we also have a brewing method that dates back till I think the 1960s. 50s, 50s, which is also pretty cool. So yeah, pop in for a coffee and we'll tell you more about it.
If you've resonated with the story, if this story has done something in your heart, if you've maybe heard this and maybe you're in the journey of business as well, and you would like, you've also felt that you are doing business and you've grown from small to big and you're busy growing, it will really help if you guys like us on the YouTube channel, or it will really help us to grow, because we would like to grow this SA thing, to grow this, not just an SA thing, but a local business that actually wasn't supported by millions of rands. This thing grew from a popcorn maker. So please like us to help us grow.